Hey guys, so if you have a Hipshot trim system that will not stay in tune and for some reason your E and G strings constantly go out, either sharp or flat, I might have the solution for you. Okay guys, so today we're going to replace the claws for the Hipshot trim, and we're also going to hone out some of the furrows where the string channels go into and see if it improves tune and stability. All right, so I've had this Kiesel Vader for more than a year, maybe a year and a half. I really do like it, and when I first got it, it stayed in tune really well, but I detuned the strings to half step flat. Everything's a half step flat, and since then, by the way, I'm tuning it up as I tell the story. Since then, I have a constant problem with the E and the G. I don't know why I have to do that, but the E and the G constantly get hung up on something, I think, and they go flat or sharp, but it's always those. So, tuning it all to pitch. Yeah, seems pretty good now. Nice sounding chord. So I'm going to do some dives is what normally do. The chords don't typically do it. I can. Usually chords are fine, which they seem like they are now. So I'll just start doing some whammy stuff. Let's see if the G chord sounds good. You can hear it. I'll tell you which one it is. I'm gonna roll the sound back and use this strobe tuner. It's not the E this time. E's a hair sharp. It's rolling forward. The A or G sharp is fine. The C sharp rolling forward just a hair. Now the G, F sharp, is flat. It's rolling backwards. And the B's fine, and the E's fine. So if I'm gonna do the old trick with bars, so if it's out, I'm gonna sharpen it. Go back down. Now it sounds a little better. Let's look at them again. Just almost perfect for the E. The A, about perfect. The D, right in the middle. I don't know if you guys can see that from here. It's rolling flat still. So that's the G. I'm gonna go ahead and just pitch it up by hand, because maybe it was hung up before I started doing this segment and I didn't know. So now it's almost perfectly flat as well. There it goes. The B looks good. The E looks good. Play a little bit more, do some more tricks. not too bad. Yeah, it's rolling just a hair sharp now. No, it's okay. I heard a snap too. I don't know if you heard that, but as I dove and came back, I heard a little metal click. Yeah. Flat. Could hear it in the chord. Flat, rolling flat really hard. So kind of in a nutshell, that's what happens. Whammy use gets it out of tune, and me and my buddy Don, who I mentioned before, he kind of has the whole idea for even this video. He gave me the idea, and I've already gotten the, as you saw, the claws. I'm going to change those out. But in addition to the claw, there's a path on the way from the saddle into the claw. It's the furrow, it's the channel that's been opened up for the string, and we think that that's where the bindings are happening. So I'm going to try to clear those out. All right, I got my work mat out. I got the Vader back on the mat. I can't tell you how much I really like this little kit that I bought off Amazon. This premium workstation for string instruments. It's awesome. It has that neck there, that headrest that you can adjust all over the place. Anyways, that cradle cube, as they call it, I really like it. All right, to do this job, I already showed you those claws, I'm sorry, that I'm going to put down in there, past the saddles, but down underneath. But you're going to need some honing files here, these needle file set. I got this one from Lowe's for about $3.50. The only one that I'm going to need really is this round one, at least for what I'm doing. My buddy did it a different way, but this is the only one that I'm going to use. I'll show you exactly how I do that. Use it as a pointer though. But if you'll look, this G string, this isn't where it's binding on this saddle. It's not binding right there. It's binding, if you can see the wounds right there. So the winds is one spot because it thickens out and it catches this furrow that's under there. And that little channel that's built under there, to be easier to see when I get the saddle off and the string off. But also that claw back there, that some of the balls turn a certain way and the others turn other ways. And I think that the rotation that it's allowed in there because they're the old claws is causing that. That's what my buddy thinks too. So not only am I going to replace those so that it stays still with less room for movement, but I'm going to clear this channel right here with this file because that piece underneath is aluminum and it won't be too hard to get that down just a little bit. All right, so here it is. I'm going to document each step. Step 1 is going to be to get the strings off and those new saddles off. I wanted to add, I'm going to take a picture, a really nice picture of the saddle positions forward and back, because they're going to come off, and that's intonation is set by this, and I don't want to screw with a whole bunch of trying it again, so I'm just going to, I'm obviously going to have to reset the intonation, but I'm going to take a picture of about how far they're up, and according to just eyeballing it really to the distance. Obviously this is a step back and then this is a staggered strange step. I don't know how it ended up like that. It's typically 2 steps back, but I'm going to do that to help save intonation time. All right, so I'm going to start off by getting that thing, all those strings off. I don't know if there's a better way to do it to protect tension or whatnot. I really don't know. So I know that the E is the weakest string that's more liable to pop, and as I remove each spring, you know what, I need to flip this over. I need to flip it over and take the back plate off. There we go. Now, since my action, I'm just setting those screws on that plate aside, since the action's going to stay exactly where it is, I think that I'm not going to mess with this. I may just take one spring off for now. And then, yeah, let's see. I'll get this. Yeah, I don't even need it. That one's pretty flimsy. So, now, let's see if you can see. Yeah, you can see what I'm doing. I'll come up a little bit. No rocket science here, just pulling these strings out of the tray. Now, you can see that tray moves. I'm just going to lightly put the strings aside. Try my best to keep them from tangling up into each other. This thing is unbound by everything. So just comes out like that. These are those trays that slide in and out. I have to take all these off, by the way. So I'm going to go ahead and start that small screwdriver process. That screwdriver have to come in here and unscrew the screw that holds all these in place. That's why I need to know the markings of where they are. However, I think that I'll be able to tell because there might be a tad of markings from the studs underneath that mark it where they're supposed to come out, but my picture will help too. And I can do the intonation, it just takes extra time. So I'm just gonna set it down for now and grab my small screwdriver kit. I'll try to keep all this right here where you can see. Now, my friend Don, this was all his idea. I'm simply doing what he suggested, and I think he figured it out. I think he's right. In fact, at this point, you can see, you see that little piece of silver right there. That indicates that those metal windings, let me pull one of these over here where you can see what I'm talking about. So with these strings, they get thicker right here where the windings come back, right? these windings create a thicker spot, and it's rubbing against this and catching, and that's what's causing the flats or the sharps. And obviously if you rub in one spot, it's probably catching on all of them. I'm sure we'll see that, and I don't know exactly what causes it, and maybe I don't think that it bound as much when I was in standard tuning, and maybe the distance, the string angle had to compensate coming up or down because of the intonation change. I don't know. I'm not going to think about it too hard. I just know that it's causing problems, and that's probably the way to fix it. At least that's the theory. He's already done this. He doesn't have a YouTube channel where he posts this stuff, but he sent me a ton of videos. I may end up using some of those in this footage here too, just to show you what he did, but he went a little bit more intricately than I'm going to go in mine. Apparently they fixed this and the furrows are better. By the way, I don't know if furrow is the right word. It's the word that my buddy uses and I've been using too. But essentially it's the channels that are down there that allow for the string to pass to the claw. These are the furrows right here, this channel, okay? They need to come up a little bit more. In fact, on his video that he sent me, I think that he came up to the edge of the screws here. So he furrowed those things about I don't know, a half an inch, an eighth of an inch, whatever that is. I'm gonna eyeball it, and I'm not gonna go too deep. Obviously, they don't go up any further than that, so I think if I get a hair above them, I'm probably in the clear. You just don't want that string to have any contact at all, like no contact with that piece. Now, I'm glad I took the picture of these because I don't have those little studs, the markings that show. I have very, very little divots in here that show where these studs are touched down on, so the picture would be very helpful for me. But those studs, you don't want to get the wrong order because that's why I'm setting them out. I'll show you that in a second. These studs are set already for the radius that's necessary, and this radius matches the radius of your neck. If you didn't know all that, I'm sure most of you do. If you're watching this, I'm sure you know more than the basic stuff. Okay, so I got all of those off, and I'll spin this around to show you how I laid it out there. That way I won't get them in the wrong order. Okay. Simple stuff. Nothing too hard. I wouldn't have done this job if it wasn't for Don. Just a great friend I've had for a long time. Helps me with so many things, not just guitar, but a lot of music. We talk music a lot. Saved my life once, actually. I owe him a ton. These claws are what are supposedly the problem. Now, they've got that little washer, and I need to unscrew. I've never done this, so I'm a little bit nervous. Let me see if I can get a picture. Yeah, you can see what I'm doing on the back side at least. He took this off so that he could remove this piece and flip it over, and he honed with this file. He honed up and down perpendicular to this. I'm just going to come in at this angle. Honestly, I may not even need to, I don't need to take that off, I think. But we'll get to that whenever the filing part comes. I'm just going to, I wonder if I'll be able to, no, I have to take it off. Yeah, I have to take it off because those claws aren't going to come out sideways. Nope, nope, that sure do. Oh, dude, this is barely in there. So I need to just finger, man, it's very, very, very light. I know he said to be careful because this top part, I believe, is aluminum. And I'm setting these screws off to the side in the same order. It'll be 1, 2, 3. I want the same screw that was in the edge, middle, and end to be back into the edge, middle, and end. Barely. I'm talking it it feels like I would have called it loose. And I don't want that pressure. I don't want that to do this exactly what it's doing. I don't want any misaligning. So I'm going to hold that for support. There we go. Now, there's a lot of grease in there. I'm going to leave the grease. Actually, you know, I'm not going to remove it, but these, yeah. And I don't know if you can tell the difference here. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But I'm going to set a new one. Here's the difference. They're a lot narrower, and I guess it gives it less room to roll around and shift its position. But these are the new ones that I was sent, and here's the one that's on it now. That open and that orifice is much bigger on that, and I'm guessing that's what solves the problem. So I'm just gonna put the plate kind of back on to hold those pieces down. I'm thinking this is just going to screw into a point where it's in there. You know what? I wonder if I can do that. Let's see. Yeah, that feels like it's on there pretty tight. And let's see. Okay. I'm thinking I'm probably going to take honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I should handle these off or use some pliers. All right, I don't know how much of this you can see. I hope you can see what I'm looking at. Getting these undone. I need some paper towels too because there's a lot of grease on these. Now, I'm just going to try really putting some force on this. It's starting to come. Yeah, something just came out. I hope I'm not stripping this thing. No, it's coming off of the saddle, the claw, which is great because that's the piece that needs to come out. I'm going to do it one at a time. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm just going to ease this thing, ease the seat back, as old Van Halen would say. All right, now apparently there's Loctite that they sent. Let me grab this package. That little red stuff is Loctite so that you can put it on the tip of that screw that I just put in there and it'll keep it from coming off of that. And that's probably why these are so hard to get out. But there's a chance that I'll need to do this again, probably. Hope not, but it's never going to need to come out that far anyways. So I don't see the need. So once it gets to the back in there, you know what, that actually might be a good idea. I think I am going to do that, to be honest. Yeah, I think I am. I'm going to set this down. There we go. Let's see. Yeah, you can see that. So I am actually going to put some Loctite on the end of these threads. And once it gets screwed into the maximum depth of this little cage, it doesn't need to screw anymore. It needs to just be perfectly still after that. So that's the idea. Let me get it really good in here. See? You can easily see right there. I'm going to try to fix this. Here we go. You can easily see that it's been rubbing. This is the one it's been catching on. That's the G string. You can see it's chipped away that paint pretty hard right there. And it's caught on the E too. The E, these are close to these holes though, and that's what makes me a little worried. I'm not going to go too deep. I'm just going to come down. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. I'll show you. Right now, I'll get in the back side where I can view this. All right, so what I'm going to do, all those things, you can see those scrapes, the string and those windings have scraped those edge of that furrow. So I'm going to come down like this, and I'm going to angle this back like that. In fact, let me see if I can. There we go, that's a better view. I'm going to end up angling this back and approximate a string angle, and I'm just going to roll this thing back and forth and just furrow that out just a little bit on each one of these channels and try to give it a little more clearance. I don't think it's going to need too much, just a little, because they're not hanging 24/7. You know, if they were hanging a lot harder, I'd do more, but I'm only going to come back on these a little. This is aluminum, so you got to go really slow and don't do too much. That's a structural point right there. You don't want to get in too deep. It's probably a design flaw, honestly, from Hipshot, but maybe the new ones are better. I don't know. If this thing doesn't work and this thing continues to piss me off, I'm going to get a hold of Kiesel about replacing it. I don't want to go there. I like Kiesel products. I'm definitely not here to badmouth Kiesel or Hipshot, but it's got to be fixed. I mean, it's not tolerable. I mean, I don't like Floyd Rose hardly at all, but my Floyd's more stable than this. All right. So all I'm going to do is open that little Loctite bag, and I'm going to dip the screw in there. That's all I'm going to do. Let's get that in there. Dip that screw in there, and I got a little bit on the edge. Let's come up to the camera here. Just a little bit. See it? Just a tad. That's all I need. Now, come in through that hole. Damn, I don't want that. I definitely don't want. I might stick them. I might do that a different way next time, but I don't want that Loctite right there. Yeah. There we go. Got that off. But now I'm going to screw that thing in. It's all the way to the back. It's in the right alignment. Very important. And I'm giving it a good old snug. I don't want to go crazy with it because I probably can break it. That's what it's supposed to do right there. Okay. So that one should be okay. Now, as I yeah, see, this thing should start sliding forward for me. This thing should start screwing forward. I need it to spin forward. There we go. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of, I think that there's a screw back here. There is, so maybe I'll use that instead to save some of the stress on that thing. But I don't want to mess those up either. I don't want to mess any of it up. All right, so I'm going to come all the way out here. And then to save that screw, I'm going to try to get that done this way. Yeah, I don't see that happening. I can't get enough torque. No. I probably can start it like that though. There we go. All right, it's coming out. Now. Come on out. New one comes in. I'm actually going to leave that just like this and stick that thing in that bag there to get the Loctite on it. That way I don't have to come through. This is going to be tricky. I won't use this. I don't think I'll use the Loctite again, so I might cut that open and just use it for a one-time use. So I don't know if you can see, if you understand what I'm doing, but it's not that hard to understand. I just made that a little bit better and squeeze that enough that I'll be able to fit that tip in there. Maybe. I'm using my finger, there we go, to wiggle a little lip in there. That's all you need, just a little bit. I got that Loctite on that tip. Now I need to get this thing started again, all the way to the back. It's to the back of the claw, and now I need that thing to start sliding again along those threads. So I'm gonna have to just crank it. There we go. That part makes me nervous, to be honest with you. All right. 2 down. Unscrewing this one. There we go. It's a decent amount of grease on these things. All right. Getting that Loctite on there. The reason I'm doing this Loctite and not worried about having to get back in there again, 2 reasons. It'll work without the Loctite, but also I just don't see me needing to do this again. Be careful with this stuff too, because I definitely don't want some of it to accidentally get down there. Just a little bit on that thing. Here's a little bit. Don't accidentally put these things in upside down. Probably easy enough to fix if you do, but just realize you need, that's the bottom. The top has the thinner, slides to the thinner spot. There we go. All right, 3 down. Good. I think I'm going to go ahead and use my nut grease and put a little bit down in there as well. I'm not going to go nuts with it. I'm just going to get some in there. Okay, so the claws are changed. What I'm going to do now is hone this plate. Let's see if I can find a good spot to do this that allows some footage. Let's pull this thing back. All right, so take this file, and then there's already an angle right here. There's already an angle where the strings come down. And let's get in here. So anyways, I'm going to come in like this at that angle, as I said, and I'm going to kind of match that angle, and I'm just going to work it gently and try to open it up a little bit. I'm not going to go too far though, because as I said before, you can see where the last strings hit, and there is a little bit, but not a ton. I mean, it's not like there's a whole shitload, and I don't even see it rub past the top. So really just getting the top part a little bit deeper right here on the edge. That's all I need to do. Not too far. I'd say for halfway, maybe 3/4 the depth of the screw. So if this is the screw depth here to here, I need to come out to about here. Okay, does that make sense? Anyways, I don't know how clear the video is right now. It's hard for me to see it. But that's what I'm going to start doing right now. I'm just holding it in my hand. It's aluminum. I'm going to go 2 or 3. I may need to sit down. I'm not sure the best way to give it just a little bit of, this might work. All right, looks like you can see what I'm doing here. Again, I'm just going to come into this channel right here, put a little bit of down pressure, and I'm using the thin part of this file. I'm making that angle shallow, by the way. I'm not going to come down like this, Because again, I don't see any of it past this edge. I don't see anything down into the channels hardly. There is a hair. I don't see much though. It's mainly the top. So if you can tell, I've already created a little bit of a deeper hole in this one. It does not take much, okay? Be careful. I'm sure they were designed so that if things caught, they'd eventually work themselves out because of the softness of this aluminum. But I'm just giving it a faster road to recovery. See, and I think that's enough. I came out to 3/4 of that depth of this circle, the screw hole. I'm out to right here, which is about 3/4 of the way. I'm going to do the same thing right here. Not there yet. Just a little bit more pressure, keeping that angle shallow. I'm making a few soft runs just for smoothing it out. This one's probably good. I might just a little bit, a hair more of sharper angle right there. Hey, baby.
Hi.
Wife just got home. Gonna bring this one, the angle down just a little bit more. See, it was a little bit of some burr, so a little bit of some catches there, but I could tell they're getting smoother. The E, the low E, and the G are the ones. Those are the culprits. So I'm just going to spend a little more time. I'm sorry, there's my G. Yeah, and I have more wear on that one. But here we go for the D. It's entirely possible too that the head of that flat screw that goes in here might be catching, like my buddy said it was doing on his, so I'm getting a little bit close. I'm kind of leaning over just a little toward that screw. That one looks like it's good enough there. I'm totally eyeballing this, by the way. There's no, I don't have a math equation that have worked out, or again, it's just a little bit of common sense that my friend figured out. I think it makes perfect sense that this is what's catching those slightly and causing those hangs, and it's a small thing that doesn't happen very, very often, but it's enough to hold it on a dive or a pull. I need to come back just a hair more for these two. I'm gonna make that channel shallower because the string's coming almost straight. I mean, it's not coming up and down. It's coming at quite an angle. So I want that angle to be a little bit deeper, but shallow. See there? Now, if I can round out, I'll do the same thing. Making a hair more shallower toward the edge there. There we go. I hope this makes sense to you, the viewer. But and I think Hipshot has since made an improvement to this. I believe is the rumor that I've heard from my same buddy, but I don't know. I just know that it pisses me off whenever it hangs up in the middle of a song, and can imagine if you're on stage with that, you know. It's easy enough to fix, but right in the middle of some solo where you're showing yourself off and practiced hard for weeks to get down, and fucking grabs like that and throws it out of tune and makes you look like a wanker. These probably aren't nearly as critical because of the nature of those thin strings, but they're going to get equal treatment. Smooth them sides out. The depth of your intonation, your saddle depth, creates this angle. So that's pretty important too. If my saddle, the E, was really, really far up, I'd need that channel to be much deeper, but I'm pretty sure that it's closer back. So I don't need as much break angle in this furrow, if that makes sense. It totally determines how far forward your saddle is, the depths of these furrows. And actually these are kind of forward, these higher strings. They've already done it here to an extent. This one feels deeper than the rest of them. Of course, that's the E, the low E. So here is the finished product. This is what it looks like after I have honed out those without file. You can see them triangle angles there. My buddy actually he's pretty smart. He put some marker on that so that he could see if any future rubbings show up as silver. And I might do that too. I might get a magic marker and rub and color those in, and then I'll know if they've been rubbed later in the future. So I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so here it is after putting some magic marker on there. That'll help me identify if any future rubbings happen. I'm about to reassemble it. All right. I'm just gonna make sure all these saddles are not turned any wrong way. And they're all doing okay except for this one. There we go. Okay. I don't think they're nowhere near the right spot. Keep a paper towel handy, by the way, because they're pretty greasy. But it's close enough. It just kind of slides up to the edge there. I'm going to put the middle screw in first to help with alignment, and just finger tighten these things. Really, really careful with it. You're going to want to do the whole, start screwing it in there, and if you feel a bad thread, back it out. And then come back in. Now I'm going to use this, yeah, just not going to get it, not even as snug as it needs to be. I just want to get it down there. That feels fine. No resistance on these threads, because although the bottom part I believe, is the hardened steel. You don't want to take any chances on these threads. Super delicate here. There we go. No resistance at all. So get that down there. Now that they're all pretty much in place, I'm going to snug the middle one just with this finger on this. I don't even have the back, if you notice, because I do not need any torque at all. The lightest amount of torque. So it'll squeeze it down. I'm just coming down to where I start to feel nice snug, and I mean real nice snug. Very light. These screw heads will mash down. You'll mash straight into that aluminum if you go too hard. Should be good. These things slide. I'm just going to give them a decent little work around, because when the string gets in there, they're not going to move too much. And this is spreading that nut grease that I put in there, getting it around the edges there. My wife thinks that's funny. All right. Nice. I don't know if you're able to see these claw openings, but they're much narrower than they were before, and it's good because when the ball goes in there, it won't roll around sideways, and that can also cause tuning instability. In place. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and show you again the reverse order, at least of one of these. I kept the screw together with the piece, of course, and I do this every time. It doesn't go that way. It comes through here and then it hits the spring. There we go. Just gonna crank that in. Try to, actually, let me see if I can square it up a little bit. This is not an easy process, guys. In fact, it might be better to come off that, but let's see. Just gonna try to squeeze that down there. No, not yet. Nope, still not. Nope. To be honest with you, there we go. Definitely, you can tell the second it starts to be right. Now, all right, so I've got all the saddles in place. I'm going to start with the middle and get this thing. I need to loosen that tray up, push it in pretty close. Let's see if it gets down. No, it's not. It's not close enough. Actually, it might be if I assist it. No. I'm gonna screw this out till I feel just the slightest resistance, and that's gonna slide that claw. There it is, the furthest up, and now it's at the furthest up, and I'm gonna help this get down into that claw. It helps if you have this slid all the way forward. There it is, I think. No. This part's proven to be very tedious. There it is. Yeah, it's in there now. And I'm looking in there. Let's see if you can see this. Let me zoom that in a little more. Okay, I've got that into the claw, and it's very, very solid, and it doesn't look like it's going to slip. I'll show you what they all look like, but I'm going to start just a little bit of pressure on that claw. Pull this back. There we go. All right. I just want a little pressure on it so it holds it in place. That's it. I'm going to use one of my flathead. Yeah. So basically what it does is it's designed to make the wheel, the yo-yo, if you will, it won't roll around side to side. It'll only fit in up and down like this and feed it this way. And that's great because even a slight bit of a turn creates a sharp or a flat. A sharp, actually, because turn either way will be a kink. So keeping it from rolling around as the new design is perfect. But it's a fun little balancing act here to get this in the pocket. It looks like I'm going to have to unscrew it basically all the way till I feel that tension again. I don't want to try to screw that tip off at all. And push it up as far as it goes. Nope. That's aluminum down there too, so be gentle as you can. You got to remember, it's not this hard when you do it to new strings because the ball goes in first. Much harder for these. There we go. Now I can start the claw. Nice. Now two of them have good tension on them. I'm just doing enough tension to make this thing feel not wobbly. That's all. All right, I have gotten all those strings down in there. I used just the tip of my Phillips to kind of push them into place as I held, and it would be much easier with the new string because you'll get the new string straight down, the ball gets into place, it locks into place, and then you'll bring it up here and tighten it up at the head. So it won't be this hard with new strings. But what I gotta do now is get the springs on. So I'm gonna keep this downward pressure. And good to go there. Let's start with the middle one. Three's all I need. Honestly, I'm gonna go ahead and screw that back plate on there. All right, guys, I got all those into place. I put them in the approximate spot for intonation. That screw's still coming out of the back though, so that tells me that I don't have that claw in the right spot exactly, but I'm just gonna put my tuner on get everything to pitch and take it from there. I'll have to do the intonation again. That's done with that Phillips head from those holes in the back. All right, so I got it all back together and I set the intonation. I got these where they needed to be. Put a little couple of drops of lube where it needed to be. My buddy reminded me, Don, he reminded me that you got to let stuff settle in as well. So I intend to really go to town on the bar and keep retuning. And I'm gonna actually do that tomorrow too. So this won't be the final bit of it tonight. But so far I've gone down and done a couple of dives and tuned it to the pitch, checking all the strings, just barely floating back left on that, barely floating flat on that. And get that back up to the pitch. Well, maybe it's the low E. No, it's good. So just slightly flat. Slightly flat. No, it's good. That G's good, right on the money. A little sharp. You gotta realize, right on the money. Just, it might be going to tap. You gotta realize it's only minuscule amounts. I mean, that's acceptable. That happens for a floating trim. It's gonna happen. Even this vibrating will cause the other strings to move a small amount. So it's not like a little bit isn't tolerable. I know that's tolerable and it's normal. It was off like half a step sometimes. So I'm talking about some real outage. So anyways, I'm gonna wank away and play a couple of my favorite solos and just screw around. G sounds good. G doesn't sound too bad. Now if it's off, it'd be off. If it's off relative to itself, like if every string is a 1 cent sharp, I'm fine with that. It was off pretty unequally. See, even now, that F, everything else is right on. E's good. B, the G is a hair flat. It's just ever so slightly rolling flat. Now, it's not flat enough that it'll throw the song off. None of them are really out. That one's out. I'm gonna dive it. Come back to pitch. Still rolling flat a little bit. So it could be settling in because it's consistently flat at least. G still sounds good. G's always my gauge. If the G sounds good, it's all good. Like, a lot of people I know use the A. Octave slides can tell you if it's in tune or not too. So far so good. We'll see how it lasts. This thing has been setting all day long while I've been working. I checked it this morning. This has been a day after, by the way. This video picks up a day after the last segment, so 24 hours. This morning I got up before I went to work and I tuned this and I got it to perfect pitch, and I play it. I want to play it in the same position, even on my abdomen, and even the whammy bar can cause some fluctuations in that. So I'm trying to get everything exactly the same as a constant, if you will. And so let's see. I'm going to tell you where it's at, just cold without touching it. The A is barely floating sharp, which is perfect. I mean, if it just moves, just slowly moves, it's a strobe tuner, electronic strobe tuner. I don't know if you can see it. It's Peterson. Highly recommend it. I love this strobe tuner. But if it's just floating right in the vicinity, that's fine. It'll sound fine. Ears can barely detect that. It's like a half cent maybe. The D is good. I'm going to skip the ones that are always the problem. The B, dead fucking perfect. Not even going sharp or flat. It's right on the money. The E, same. Minuscule amounts sharp. All right, here goes the low E, and it's rolling sharp. It's not terrible though. Like, and to be honest, the low E kind of, because it's the biggest string, has the most tension on it, it kind of has a tendency to sometimes roll sharp or not. See, now it's actually kind of being more stable. Depends on how heavy your attack is too. So if I hit a light attack, it's pretty stable, barely rolling sharp. But if I hit it kind of tough, it'll roll sharp a little bit. I'm gonna leave it there. Let's go with the G finally. Oh, quite stable, quite stable. Just rolling a hair sense sharp, just kind of moves sharp. I don't know if you've ever seen a strobe tuner, but they'll roll forward or roll backwards, or they'll just kind of strobe right there in the dead center if they're good. So before I turn the music on, or the sound on, I'm gonna just wank away on it with the bar, just really. I'm gonna keep the strings at least in place so they don't fall down and grab the edge of this bar and pop one of them. And then I'm gonna sharp it out, just down, up, down, up. Okay, test again. That one's rolling flat. The low E or high E, that one's rolling flat. That one, now it's super sharp. So the G is sharp as hell. If I dive, yeah, it's I don't know if you can see this, it's rolling completely sharp. That's probably 14 cents. C sharp. All right, so starting from the bottom, flat, on the low E, rolling flat, A, rolling flat, D, little, right in the middle, G, rolling sharp, 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 sharp. B rolling flat, just barely. E rolling a little bit flat. I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna see if there's anything that looks obvious in there. There is the possibility, just by examining it, there's the possibility that those windings, in fact, okay, I've got it back on my little station. I'm going to get in here and show you. If I get down, it's the G string. So it's this string. If I get down, that piece in there where those windings hit is probably the spot where it's grabbing. Yeah, I was actually on the wrong string. It's the green balled string right there. So I believe that what happens is it catches. It catches as I dive back. Let me see if I can get a little bit of action to show it. Where am I at? I get lost when I look from. So what I may need to do is get in there and furrow that out even a little bit more. I don't want to, and I'm not going to take the full thing apart like I did before. I'm just going to pop off that saddle. But that point right there, that's what can catch those windings. So I removed that saddle, and I got back in here from the top down. I didn't have to take it all apart. That's the main problematic one, is that G position. And as you can see, honed out just a little more into that furrow right there, where that silver channel is, and I might black marker it back up so that I can see if any nicks were on there. There were some minor nicks underneath there. All right, I'm going to do that. I went ahead and pulled off that saddle and the screw and the spring. Simple, just unscrew from the back. Now I'm going to give you a tip. Pull that, slide that. I don't know if you can see the claw arm in there, but you saw it earlier. You can see it kind of popping in and out. Slide it all the way to the back. You want to get it out of the way. You do not want to screw with that anymore. Now, if you'll notice, this screw edge right here, it could be what's grabbing it. I'm not certain. But since I'm not going to remove this anymore, I'm going to go ahead and file. Just putting a little bit of side pressure. Decent amount of angle. I'm not putting a ton of pressure, by the way. I don't think it takes a ton. Try to get this channel, that furrow as I called it earlier. My buddy Don calls it that. He's kind of the guinea pig. He'll do these things that I wouldn't think of to do. Like, I normally wouldn't work on my stuff. I'd send it to Kiesel or Hipshot or whoever. But after I get somebody to show me how to do it, and he did, he sent me a bunch of videos about this, and I appreciate that. But after I've seen it done and I understand it in my head, I'm okay to give it a shot. So I'm not sure exactly the left or the right. I'm just trying to widen them out just a little bit on both sides there. And that's about all I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and add a smidgen of that nut grease. It's not really nut grease, it's Fender's friction remover, which is basically nut grease. Friction remover. All right. Just gonna put Didn't need to be much. There we go. As soon as I could see it even come out, that's enough. Get that channel nice and lubed up. I'm sure I did this earlier for this string too, but I'm going to go ahead and lay some down there since I got it out. Sure doesn't hurt, right in those windings. I may even start looking for strings that have shorter windings so that they don't come up as far and start to get into that territory. Okay. Now reassembly. I'm not sure if I'll leave this footage on there, but I might. There it goes. Now, I eyeballed this saddle and it needs to be exactly perpendicular to this D string. So, it should be about right there. About right there. I'll check it, of course. Put my tray back up so it's out of harm's way. Before, down in there, I'm gonna put a little downward pressure on that gold ball, pull forward to catch its pocket. Nope, it's hard to get it in there. That's one thing about these new ones. There we go. They go deep, hard to get them in the pocket. Now it's there. I wonder if I ground some of the windings as well, use my file on that, maybe on the string. I wonder if that's just an idea. On the outside, just a hair, just to make it a little soft. I probably should put some grease on it. Anyways. Okay, now, in tune, gonna get some tunes going and crank it down. Try to see if I can throw it out of tune. Playing wild and just not really having any target other than mistreat it. All right, let's see where we're at. G chord. Sounds nice. Yeah, C, D, they sound nice. Doesn't sound bad. In fact, that sounds damn good. That's a nice G. I said that earlier, but this G, I don't know what shape you call this. The G with the top two bars and the bottom G shape, that's my favorite G. That's the chord that I make to judge if a guitar's in tune or not. So I think I'm going to call it a day for this video and get to chopping it up. It's long. I probably have an hour of footage. Chop it up, get a video out. I hope you enjoyed that and it gave you some ideas on what you might be able to do to fix some of your hangs on your Tremlo system. I'm not saying you have to do it this way, but just try to use your common sense and figure out the path and what's obstructing it, what might be hanging up. Again, I may look into getting some strings that have smaller windings or that don't like whenever here's the ball and here's the string, they wind up to a certain length and they stop. Maybe I'm trying to find some with shorter windings, and those windings are what's catching. And whatever you can do to minimize that friction will help it stay in tune. And I'm really, really particular with the ear whenever it comes to being in tune or not. Some people don't care. I'll hear them play their guitar and you can hear 3 strings out of tune and they're like, it's good. I'm like, it's really not, bro. But anyway, to each of their own. All right, so I actually chopped that video and didn't have this segment in here, but I wanted to throw this in real quick because I'm editing. This video is taking me like 3 days. I'm not kidding. All the footage, getting it together. I had recorded it in 4K and screwed up and didn't realize it'll take you days to render 4K video. I'm not going to do that anymore. Anyways, I took that Vader to practice today. And I tuned it once here, not even and it's colder in this guy's basement. Not once did I tune it. It stayed in perfect tune for 3.5 hours worth of practice. So I wanked away on it, played all of the songs we do, and not once did I have to tune it up. It didn't even sound like I needed to check, which is amazing. So I think that this video fixed that issue, and hopefully if you have similar, or if you have a Hipshot trim that is catching like that, if it's older than, I want to say very recent, like maybe 2020, you might have to do this process. Hope you enjoyed that. It was informational. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you later.